Shall I move another spot? As children in our generation, some of our best memories were when our parents would plop us down on the couch and pop a tape into the VCR. We would anxiously await the Disney logo. For the next hour and a half, we were taken on a magical ride. But never during that adventure did we wonder where these stories came from. We always just assumed that Disney made them. As I grew up, I continued loving Disney. It wasn't until my college theater classes that I found out that most of these stories were wrote 100 years ago and weren't at all appropriate for children. By exploring the origins of 3 popular Disney tales, we will be able to further appreciate Disney and the hard work that they do. We will begin by traveling far under the sea to visit a very popular mermaid named Ariel. The Little Mermaid was originally a book by Hans Christian Andersen that was wrote in 1810. There are some similarities between the book and the movie. Zoe Triska, a writer at Huffington Post, points out that Ariel does see the prince and instantly fall in love. She also makes a deal to become a human and get legs. However, there are some differences. She not only wants to become a human to fall in love with the prince, but also because mermaids were believed to have no souls, and she was afraid of what would happen to her after her death. Also, every step that she took while she was a human would feel like she was walking on shards of glass. Finally, if she wasn't able to win the prince's affection, the penalty would be death. Later on in the story, the prince marries someone else, thinking it's Ariel, the girl that saved him from the shipwreck. She finds out that she could kill him and go back to being a mermaid, but she didn't have the heart, so she jumps back in the sea and just becomes foam. Now something a little more lighthearted, we will look into Sleeping Beauty. According to Zoe Triska, the previously mentioned author, the first interaction between the king and Sleeping Beauty was a little different than from the Disney movie. The king climbs up into her castle and calls out for her. When he sees her unconscious, he not only kisses her, but actually rapes her. Sleeping Beauty awakes months later when twins are born. After she is awake, the king and Sleeping Beauty fall in love. The only bad thing is that the king is still married to another woman. When she finds out about this, she wants to have Sleeping Beauty burned at the stake and the twins killed and fed to the king. Fortunately, the wife does not succeed, and the twins, Sleeping Beauty and the king, live happily ever after. The third story we will look into is by far the most popular. It's been made into many movies, she's been a character in many musicals. Cinderella. Cinderella was originally called Aschenputtel by the Brothers Grimm. Some of the Brothers Grimm themes have been used in the recent Into the Woods movie, as well as the 2015 film version of Cinderella. Shauna Murphy, a writer at MTV, looks into the fact that the fairy godmother wasn't always how we remember her in the Disney movie. It actually began in the Brothers Grimm version. When the father would go on a business trip, Cinderella would ask him to bring back the first branch that knocked over his hat on the way out of town. One day, he brings it back, and she plants it at her mother's grave and then is crying on it because she's upset. It's at that point that magic occurs, and that creates her fairy godmother that we recognize through the rest of the film. Another difference from the Disney movie is that Cinderella's father is often depicted as off on a business trip or actually deceased. However, in the original version, he actually joins the mother and the stepmother and the stepsisters in making fun of Cinderella. My favorite part of the Brothers Grimm version of Cinderella is that the ball is 3 nights long. In the first 2 nights, Cinderella is able to run off because she has to get back before midnight. But on the 3rd night, the prince gets smart and he smears tar all over the steps so that Cinderella won't be able to escape him. However, her shoes get stuck in it, but she runs off and is able to, and he gets her shoe and goes around to all the villagers to try to find out who his mystery girl is. When he's going around to all the villagers, Cinderella's stepsister actually cuts off her heel so that she'll be able to fit into the shoe, but he kind of sees through that. And there are some other concepts from the Brothers Grimm that haven't been used in a movie recently, and that is the fact that during the end of the movie, Cinderella is actually getting married, and her stepsisters are coming in, and birds that had helped her previously in the story come and poke out her sister's eyes because they're still mad at her. So it's a happy yet a twisted ending. These are some visuals I found online from the original stories. This first one is from The Little Mermaid, and as you can tell, it's in black and white, and it's just kind of a twisted picture. It's found from hca.gilead.org. This next one is of Sleeping Beauty. It has more muted colors than we're used to in the Disney film, and it's found from the original Sleeping Beauty book. I found it from page 10. And this is a picture from the original Aschenputtel by Brothers Grimm. As you can tell, it's very muted, dark colors, blacks and browns. And it is from the original Aschenputtel, but I found it at steinzel.uca.edu. In conclusion, looking into these three tales really helps us enjoy these Disney films further. It helps us see that Disney didn't just create this, and they had to work really hard to readapt these stories so that audiences of all ages would be able to enjoy them. Thank you.